up, everybody? Thanks for joining me on these analysis. We're going to be looking at MSTR, Bitcoin, looking at different indicators and charts today. So as you can see here, we closed early today because it's July 3rd. We closed at 1 p.m. We got a nice move outside of the downward sloping trend line. So we actually have a weekly close outside of it, which is extremely bullish. That's the first one that we've seen from this entire move here. We've touched it 3 times and we got rejected every single time. Then we kind of ran up over here and got rejected as well. And another good sign is that we are actually within this golden zone that we continuously speak about to the downside. It's a bearish pull showing momentum to the downside, and we close back inside of it. We haven't seen that since these 3 candles over here. Everything else has been rejection and bouncing to the downside. But as we approach this upward sloping trend line and this horizontal level of support, looks like we found a little bounce and we're back inside of it, but outside of this downward sloping trend line. So very, very bullish. Of course, we would have loved to see a move outside of here, sitting at like 420. Maybe next week we could get something like that if we catch the momentum. But what we need to anticipate now is, after getting a close here on the weekly outside of here, we would expect a retest and bounce, of course, or we retest, end up falling through, and then we continue to chop. And then we end up making a decision either later to the upside or downside. So that's kind of what I can see happening. Of course, both sides. It is starting to look a little more bullish than bearish, especially when you start to look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin really does look like it's ready to break out any moment. It's just playing around those all-time highs, very, very close, which we'll go over later in the video. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Also, make sure you guys like and subscribe on these videos if you want to stay up to date on everything that's going on related to Bitcoin and MSTR videos and other videos as well. I do other ticker symbols. So make sure you guys subscribe. Anyways, so we are looking at a potential move to the upside. We'll see where things take us. We just have to get outside of this golden zone and then eventually break this horizontal level of support. That's going to be the last key level, and then of course the wick. But there shouldn't be too much selling pressure there. Here on the daily, it didn't look the best. We started off really, really good, and then it kind of faded out, and we closed up by 0.62. So we really didn't move anywhere. It's a flat day overall. But the day started off really nice, where we were all the way up to about 415, and then we pushed all the way back down. But it's still a solid close on the weekly. We're just happy to see that type of close on the weekly. And for the monthly, we closed very well. When you look here, you can see it's outside of that downward sloping trend line. Looks like we got a retest, and we already bounced off of that gray trend line right there, upward sloping trend line. So it makes sense that we got the retest of the major trend line. As you can see, we've continuously touched it on the monthly candles. You can see almost every single time that we get near it, we at least touch it, and this one was no different. So we touched it. So hopefully we can finally say, all right, this is a key level of support. We're done testing this, and let's start, pushing up and testing higher levels. As we make our way to the midline here of this upward sloping trend line, we do need to expect some kind of resistance. As you can see, we've had this level acting as support, then resistance, support, then we fell back through, broke through as support, and then found support again, and then acting as resistance. So as we push up, I would expect something like that, whether we hit it and at least temporarily reject, then break through, or I could see us pushing up, rejecting, and then kind of just trending sideways before we actually make our real move to the upside, retest, and then make our way up. Hopefully it's just a push up, minor rejection for, a day, maybe a week, and then we just break through it. That would be the most bullish and ideal scenario. On the weekly Bollinger Bands, we're still in between both. We aren't overbought yet, but we are holding above the blue level. And on the daily, we found rejection actually off of the red band here. As we tried to break through it, we pushed up and we got rejected right off of it. So hopefully the next move is not to the downside, to the blue band, because we already tested it multiple times. Hopefully it's just a little cool off period, and then we can start hugging the red on the way up. Here on Bitcoin, when you take a look here at the weekly, it was a perfect setup. Like we said, we closed on the weekly here at 108.3, retested this key level of support, which was this level right here that we've been acting as resistance multiple times. Support broke back underneath, and now we're holding it once again. And we shot right off of that level, have finally broken out of this downward sloping trend line, got the close, retested, and now we're pushing up higher. I do think if we can get a daily close above this wick here, about 110.5, then we're for sure going to see this level right here, this white line. And if we can break and close above 110.800, then I think that opens up the chances of us hitting 112 and then eventually breaking it, which will take us to that region up here of this white upward sloping trend line. And then after that, we actually do have one more line of resistance that we actually have to be careful with. And that one dates back all the way to the beginning of this channel, which is this midline of the channel here. And if you take a look there, it was acting as support, resistance, support, resistance, resistance. Multiple times it's been resistance. So on the bright side, remember, the more you test something, the more likely it is to break. So as you can see, we tested it there, and then we tested it here 3 times. So we have 3 retests here, which is nice to see because the more you touch it, the weaker it gets. So since we've touched it 1, 2, 3, 4 times, maybe this next time that we touch it, we actually break through. That would be very, very bullish. That would be perfect because now we'd be in full price discovery mode and there's nothing else stopping or slowing down price. But we do need to consider the idea that once we touch this level, which is directly above us at 127, if we were to hit it this month, next month would probably be, a little bit higher at 132, 134, something like that. We have to be open to that idea of rejecting and then potentially bouncing off of this zone right there and then maybe making our way up. So keep that in mind. But yes, keep that in the back of your head that after we break this level at 117, our next level of resistance will be that midline of this entire major channel. But once we break that, it's going to be full price discovery, and we really don't know where things will take us. We'll just be going day by day at that point. On the 4-hour, we're still looking good. We got a nice close back inside of this zone, and we fell back underneath. Then we pushed back up and got rejected, but we are pushing back into this zone. So if we can close within these wicks here, I think that would be pretty bullish if we can close somewhere in that region of these wicks above this gray zone right here, this level of support and resistance. If we can have this acting as support, we get a 4-hour close here, retest, and then push up to this 110.900 level, and then after breaking that, all-time highs. On a smaller time frame, you can see the 20 SMA and the 50 are pushing up. Let's see if we actually meet up with it or price just continues to push. And on the 1 hour, you can see we are hugging the 20-day or the 20-hour candle or moving average. So we pushed back underneath, retested, and we closed back above. We're about to close back above. We have 4 minutes and 50 seconds, so hopefully we hold that. And if we can close back above 109.75, that's going to open up the idea of touching that 110.300 level. So this is the 70-day offset for global liquidity. So as you can see, we've deviated for a little bit of time, but when you look here, this was a long consolidation period anyways for global liquidity, so we cannot be surprised by it. And honestly, from here on out, it looks like we get some pretty severe moves to the upside. We get another major pullback, a very aggressive move to the upside, and then from there, it's kind of just chopping slowly to the upside. So this is looking pretty bullish right now. It continues to put in higher highs and higher lows, looking very good. As the dollar continues to drop, this will continue to rally, which will extend Bitcoin's move further out. So the longer this gets pushed out back, then the further Bitcoin's move will be in terms of like quarters. So maybe it goes Q4, maybe even Q1 of 2026. We'll see. That would be the first if that were to happen. We'll see. Things usually do get exponential, so although it feels like things aren't really moving, it can happen so quick. Within a couple months, we can go from 109 to 150 in the snap of a finger. So just keep that in mind. And speaking of the dollar and global liquidity, you can see that we've been talking about how bearish we were on the dollar because we have this downward sloping trend line, a well-established move, continuously bouncing off of golden zones and pushing down lower. So you can see we bounced off the golden zone there, 0.5618, a perfect bounce. And then for this move here, you can see we bounced off the 0.5 and continued down. So those are very, very bearish signals to the downside, showing continuation of the trend. So it looks like we could potentially be touching this level right here. Maybe we retest one more time because we did close underneath, but we haven't actually had our full retest. We had a minor push up, but I don't know if that's going to be counted as a retest. And then maybe we'll get a nice solid close. We do have a day and 6 hours left on that. So if we can get a weekly close down in this region, that'd be very, very bearish on the dollar, which is very good for Bitcoin and risk on assets. So I think this trend should continue, in my opinion. And when we take a look at the SMAs, our 20 is still holding above us here on the daily, acting as more resistance above this key trend downward. So if we do push up, I would expect that we get some kind of rejection. And if we don't get rejection off the 20, then we should off the 50. But I think the 20 with this downward sloping trend line should be sufficient to push price down further. And it's also in line with this key level of resistance. So you have three things in confluence pushing price to the downside. MSTR divided by IBIT, slowly trending upward, kind of hugging our trend line. Hopefully we can start to get a nice aggressive move to the upside. Right now we're just lightly holding it, nothing too aggressive. Here on the daily, we did find rejection here off of the 50 today. So hopefully the next day we can finally push back above and close. We did get a close on Monday, and we've just fallen down ever since, but we are still holding our 20, which is a bullish sign. On the weekly, we do look pretty good though, because when you look here, we got to bounce off the 20. We've been holding it for multiple weeks in a row, and as you can see, we actually closed right in line with the top of this wick, which opens up the idea of potentially maybe we retest one more time, and then we fill this wick potentially, which would be a very bullish move for MSTR. And that would show that we're outperforming IBIT or Bitcoin in general, which is very good. We want to see a nice move like this or like this. These are the reasons why we're in MSTR. That reason right there and this one over here. So that's what we're hoping for. That's what we're waiting for. Hopefully we see a nice move like that up to this region or even higher. We'll see what happens, of course. But I still remain bullish on MSTR and, of course, Bitcoin. The reason I'm bullish on MSTR is because of Bitcoin. But make sure you guys like and subscribe if you guys enjoy content like this, and I'll see you guys in the next one.